Bharat is paying a teary farewell to CDS Bipin Rawat, who passed away tragically in a helicopter crash earlier this week. We will dedicate today's episode of Beyond the Headlines to his glorious life and illustrious career and what his loss means to our nation. CDS Rawat, who was India's first Chief of Defence Staff, had an illustrious career with more than 40 years of experience. And as the CDS, he looked at all three of the Indian military forces, the Army, Navy and Air Force for the first time as a single point contact and military advisor for the government. Let's take a look at his life and achievements. General Bipin Lakshman Singh Rawat was born in Uttarakhand's Pauri and attended Cambrian Hall School in Dehradun and then St. Edward's School in Shimla. He later joined the NTA and the Indian Military Academy, Dehradun, where he was honoured with the Sword of Honour. He graduated from Defence Services Staff College DSSC in Wellington and the Higher Command course at US Army Command and General Staff College at Kansas. Due to his exceptional service, he was also inducted in the United States Army Command and General Staff College International Hall of Fame. He received an MPhil in Defense Studies at DSSC as well as diplomas in Computer Studies and Management from the University of Madras. He led a company in Uri as a major. He also led his battalion in the eastern sector along the LAC at Kibitu. After being promoted to the rank of brigadier, he commanded 5 sector of Rashtriya Rifles in Sopore. And as the army chief, he oversaw the airstrikes targeting Jaish-e-Mohammed Terror Training Center in Pakistan's Balakot. This airstrike was done after we lost 40 Indian soldiers in a terror attack in Pulwama. In 2015, the CDS had also supervised a cross-border counter-insurgency operation in Myanmar, which was carried out after an Indian army convoy was ambushed in the Chandel district of Manipur. In the last 2 to 3 years, there have been few confrontations and ever-growing tension between the Indian Army and China's People Liberation Army, including a violent clash in Galwan Valley, which led to the deployment of tens of thousands of soldiers on both sides of the LAC. The CDS had since then prepared the armed forces to deal with China's transgressions head-on and often shown full confidence that military option was available to deal with Chinese army's transgressions just in case talks between the two nations failed. Out of his 63-year-long life, 40 years were dedicated to the nation's security and safety, for which he received many honors and medals like the Param Vishisht Seva Medal, Uttam Yudh Seva Medal, Sena Medal, Special Service Medal and Operation Parakram Medal, among many such others. While India gave a fitting tribute to the national hero, with many coming out on streets chanting slogans for his farewell, there were also those who mocked at and rejoiced over his passing away. Chinese newspaper Global Times said, India Defence Chief's death shows flaws in Indian military and deals a heavy blow to its modernization. Now, while this kind of propaganda and low blow is expected from China and Pakistan, what is also becoming equally recurring is a significant chunk of Indians siding with this line of commentary. Soon after the news of the accident came out on social media, the usual suspects cheered on. Some call it karma, some divine intervention, and some outrightly abused the deceased. Dignity in death is one Bharatiya principle that we as a race have prided ourselves upon. Placing national heroes and the national armed forces above petty politics is another such principle. But a lot of this basic humanity was forgotten, and a very ugly and unceremonious side of a certain section of the people as well as the media came out following the death of CDS Rawat. A headline from the Hindus read somewhat like, Rawat along with 12 others killed. Rawat. Is this the way to address a national figure who held one of the most important posts of the country? It wasn't just regular civilians or faceless desktop trolls who rejoiced at the death of the CDS, but educated, reputed people from all sections of society showed an ugly face of the hyper-polarized world that we are all beginning to live in. CDS Rawat's death has exposed a very scary side of this nation as well, a side that has forgotten basic patriotism and humanity and can rejoice in one of the most precarious security contingencies for a country. One of CDS Rawat's recent quotes was about biological warfare. And while we must prepare to tackle that as we have been for the last couple of years and should strengthen our response for more such pandemics in the future, what we must not forget is also the psychological warfare, the threat that is posed by the enemy within and without, and the 2.5 war that the Indian Army has often talked about.